I never thought I'd be one of those guys who gets blindsided by their wife cheating, but here I am. My name's Mark and my wife's name is Lisa. We've been together for about 8 years. We met in college, got married right after, and for a long time I thought we had a good thing. She's always been kind of a bitchy, bossy type, loud, demanding, always quick to dismiss my concerns, and honestly, she's never been shy about telling me what she thinks I'm screwing up. But I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. Lately, though, I started noticing little things. She'd come home from work looking tense, but when I'd ask her about her day, she'd brush it off. Her phone started acting weird, she'd hide it more, and whenever I'd ask to see it, she'd give me some excuse like, "It's just work stuff," or "My boss is paranoid about privacy." I didn't push because I figured maybe I'm just paranoid. I mean, I've always been a little suspicious, but nothing concrete. Still, I couldn't shake that feeling that something was off. Then, there was the fact that she suddenly started taking our home Wi-Fi security way more seriously. She's always been a bit of a control freak. She even got into installing security cameras around the house, setting up new passwords, and updating our network encryption protocols. I didn't think much of it at first, but now I realized she was building a barrier, not just to protect us but to hide whatever she was doing. She'd spend hours on her laptop late at night, sneaking around, and the way she'd get defensive if I asked about her online activity made me suspicious. One night, I decided to check her phone because she was acting even more cagey than usual. I'm not proud of this, but I'd had enough. I grabbed her phone from the bedside table when she was asleep, unlocked it, and started scrolling through her messages. It was mostly just her usual bitchy, snarky comments about her coworkers and friends, nothing out of the ordinary there. But then I saw a text thread, something about seeing you tonight and can't wait to finally be alone with you, from a number I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. I froze. I looked closer. The number was saved under a fake name, Alex. I think. I went to check her contacts, and sure enough, there was an entry with the name CyberPro, which was the name of the guy we hired to upgrade our home security system. I remembered meeting him, a guy named Jason, late one afternoon. He came recommended by a neighbor, and he's a cybersecurity expert. We needed someone to help us set up secure Wi-Fi and make sure our cameras couldn't be hacked. It seemed innocent enough until I saw their messages. It was clear they'd been exchanging more than just technical details. I couldn't believe it. They'd been meeting, probably during her lunch breaks or after work, and somewhere along the line, this Jason guy, who's supposed to be a professional, turned into her side piece. Not just some quick fling, it looked like they'd been at this for weeks, maybe longer. The messages weren't just flirty, they were downright explicit sometimes. And the worst part, the security logs I found later, stored meticulously in the system Jason installed, documented their activities. Every meeting, every exchange, even the times they met up. It was all there, logged in black and white. I felt like I'd been sucker punched in the gut. How could someone I trusted, someone I built this life with, do this to me? It's like the worst nightmare you can imagine. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and so damn angry I could barely breathe. It's one thing to suspect, but to find proof, hard, undeniable proof, that she was cheating on me with a guy I brought into our home as a security expert. That's next level. I didn't know what to do at first. I just sat there, staring at her phone, my mind racing. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that this wasn't going to be easy. The next morning, I woke up with a knot in my stomach that wouldn't go away. I kept replaying that night's discovery over and over, her texts, the logs, the way her words made my blood boil. I knew I had to face her. There was no way I could pretend I didn't see what I saw. The problem was, I wasn't sure how to do it. Do I just blow up right there and then? Do I wait and catch her in the act? Or do I gather more evidence to prove she's been lying all along? She woke up pretty bitchy herself as usual, tried to act like everything was fine, like I wasn't sitting there staring at her fuming. I could see that fake, dismissive smile she threw on whenever she was trying to brush something off. I knew her too well at this point. I'd caught her lying enough times to know when she was full of shit, so I decided to go straight for it. "Lisa," I said, voice low but firm, "we need to talk, now." Her eyes narrowed. "What's there to talk about? I was just tired, that's all." "You're reading into things, like always, you're paranoid." Paranoid. I shot back, feeling my blood start to boil. I saw your messages, the logs, the meetings you've been having with Jason Cyber Pro. Don't deny it, I know what's been going on. Her face went pale for a moment, then she snapped back. You're crazy. You're just accusing me of shit because you're insecure. I've been busy, that's all. I don't have time for your dumb assumptions. I couldn't believe how fast she was lying, how casual she was about it. It made me angrier. I told her I'd seen enough, that I knew everything. Her reaction, how she suddenly turned defensive and started swearing that I was imagining things, that Jason was just a professional helping us, that I was overreacting, only confirmed what I suspected. She was lying, hiding more. The thing that cut me the deepest was her dismissiveness, her attitude like she didn't give a damn that she'd betrayed me. She called me paranoid, accused me of snooping, said I was insecure. Yeah, I was insecure, all right. But I was also hurt, betrayed. How could she do this? How could someone I trusted turn into this bitchy, manipulative liar? It felt like the floor was falling out from under me. I remember standing there trying to keep my voice steady, asking her why she did it. Her answer, that I was too controlling, that I never let her breathe, and that if she wanted sex or attention, she'd ask. She threw in a bunch of lies about how she was just talking to him about security, as if that made it okay, as if exchanging explicit texts and meeting up was some innocent thing. I knew she was lying, her body language. The way she avoided eye contact, her overly casual tone. She was trying to gaslight me, and it worked for a moment. I felt so cold, so empty. I didn't even know what to say. Right then, I realized the marriage was over. Not because she cheated, no, that was just the tip of the iceberg, but because I saw her for what she really was. A liar, a manipulator, a bitch who'd screw me over just to get her kicks. I'd always thought of her as a strong woman, but here she was, exposing herself as selfish and reckless, willing to betray me for some fool cybersecurity guy. The one person I trusted to help us was the one she was screwing behind my back. The irony. The betrayal cut so deep I didn't even cry. I just felt numb. After that, the fight was inevitable. I told her I wanted her out of the house. She yelled, called me crazy, said I was overreacting, same old bullshit. But I wasn't backing down. I told her I'd be checking all her stuff from now on, her phone, her emails, her social media. I needed to see how deep the rabbit hole went. I felt like I'd been living in some kind of nightmare, and I was just starting to wake up. I knew I couldn't go on pretending that this was just some miscommunication or a misunderstanding. This was real, and it was brutal. After she left that morning, I sat alone in the silence of the house, trying to process everything I'd just uncovered. It was surreal, like I'd been hit by a freight train. I kept thinking about all the signs I missed, all the times she brushed me off, her sneaky behavior with her phone, the late nights she'd claim were work, all of it leading to this moment. The thing that haunted me most was the fact that Jason, the supposed security expert, had become a part of her life in a way I never imagined. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. That's when I remembered something I'd stumbled upon during my initial investigation, her phone logs. I started digging through her messages, her call history, her email. My heart sank when I saw the pattern: repeated contacts with Jason, late-night calls, secret texts. I even found some encrypted messages, apparently deleted but recoverable with some software I downloaded. It was clear she'd gone to great lengths to hide everything, but she'd missed some traces. I also found her calendar, appointments marked home repair, meeting, security check, but the details were vague. Still, it was enough to tell me she'd been lying about everything. I decided I needed to catch her in the act if I was going to truly understand how deep this went, so I set up my own plan. I reconfigured our home network's logs to monitor every connection, every device that accessed the Wi-Fi. As an IT guy myself, had a decent background in cybersecurity, I knew how to do it. I wanted to see exactly when and where she was meeting Jason. I also changed all our passwords, tightened the security, and installed a keylogger on her phone, just enough to see her activity without totally invading her privacy. I wasn't proud of it, but I needed answers. The next few days were like living in a cage. I watched her routines, waiting for her to slip up, and she did. She started acting even more secretive, sneaking around more than ever. I noticed her deleting messages, hurriedly disconnecting her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, all the signs of someone trying to hide something. Then I saw it, the connection to our network from her phone at exactly the time she'd said she was at work. But I knew she'd already left the office hours before. It was her. I could see her GPS location updating, her movements traced right to a parking lot near a hotel on the outskirts of town. This was it. I had concrete proof that she was meeting Jason outside of our home, probably for sex. The next day I confronted her again. I had all the evidence laid out and I was raw with anger. I told her I knew everything, that I had logs, GPS data, and the encrypted chats. She looked stunned at first, then furious. She started lying right away, saying I was stalking her, that I'd hacked her phone, that I was crazy. She told me she only met him once or twice for advice, that I was paranoid, jealous, insecure. But her words sounded hollow. I knew she was full of shit. She tried to turn it around, blaming me for being controlling, possessive, and saying that her sex life was none of my business. She even had the nerve to call me boring, and said if I wasn't so uptight, maybe she wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. That was the moment I realized how utterly selfish and manipulative she was. She didn't even feel guilty. Just annoyed that I caught her, annoyed that I was disrupting her little secret affair. In that confrontation, I felt a mixture of everything: anger, betrayal, sadness, even disgust. I wanted to yell, to scream at her for being so reckless, so dishonest. But I also felt a strange numbness creeping in. Like I knew this wasn't just some fling. It was a betrayal of everything I thought we had. I'd always tried to be the good guy, the patient one, trying to get past her bitchy attitude, but this was a line she crossed and kept crossing. I realized I couldn't fix this. I couldn't make her see reason or understand how deep her betrayal hurt me. That night I spent hours staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. I felt sick. I felt angry, but mostly I felt betrayed, like I'd been nothing more than a fool who thought he could trust the woman he loved. I knew I had a choice: keep fighting for something that was already broken, or cut my losses and move on. Honestly, I was leaning toward the latter. I couldn't keep pretending that my wife wasn't lying, cheating, and sneering at my feelings. Whatever happened next, I knew my life was about to change forever. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a truck. The weight of everything hit me hard: her betrayal, the lies, the fact that I'd been blind for so long. I was furious, but I also knew I couldn't stay in this limbo anymore. I had to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to destroy her, call her out publicly, tell everyone what she did, make her regret everything. But deep down, I knew that wouldn't give me closure. The real question was, what do I do now? Do I fight for this marriage, or do I just walk away? I decided I needed to get some perspective. I spent the day thinking, trying to figure out if there was any way to save what was left of us, or if it was better to cut my losses and leave her behind. I couldn't shake the sense that she'd been playing me for months, maybe years. She acted like she hated me, like she was just waiting for the right moment to dump her frustration on someone. And I was that someone. It was a terrible feeling, realizing I'd been so stupid, so naive. But I also had to be honest with myself. I couldn't forget the way she lied, the way she sneered at me when I confronted her. It was clear she'd lost respect for me long before I found out about Jason. That realization hurt more than anything. I'd spent years trying to be the good husband, trying to keep everything together, and she'd just been waiting for her chance to sneak around, to cheat, to lie. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to care about the damage she'd caused. I knew I had to do something drastic, so I started planning my next move. I changed all the passwords again, made sure all her devices were monitored, and even set up a recording device in the bedroom. Nothing creepy, just enough to catch her if she slipped. Again, I knew she'd try to cover her tracks, but I wanted to be prepared. It was clear she wasn't going to stop lying until she was caught red-handed. That evening she came home acting more bitchy than ever. She was trying to play the victim, acting like I was the one overreacting. She started throwing her usual tantrums, calling me controlling, insecure, and saying I was possessive for wanting to know the truth. Honestly, I was so exhausted I just listened. I didn't want to fight anymore. I just wanted her gone. I told her straight up that I knew she'd been cheating, that I had proof, and that I was done trying to pretend everything was okay. Her response: she called me crazy, said I was stalking her and that I'd ruined everything. She even accused me of spying on her because I didn't trust her. It was classic gaslighting. She denied everything, then accused me of overreacting, being jealous, and being insecure. But her face told a different story. Her eyes darted around, and her voice cracked just enough for me to see she was panicked. She knew she'd been caught, and the game was up. I felt a strange mixture of satisfaction and emptiness. I was relieved I had concrete proof, but part of me was devastated. I'd loved her, or thought I did. Now I saw her for what she really was, a manipulative, selfish liar who didn't give a damn about our marriage. I realized I'd been holding on to something that was already dead. She didn't want to try to fix things. She wanted to keep her lies, keep her secret meetings, and keep her freedom to cheat. So I told her she needed to leave. I told her I wasn't going to keep pretending anymore. I packed her bags myself, feeling like I was doing the right thing, even though it tore me apart inside. As she stormed out, throwing her final insults, I just watched her go. I felt numb, like I'd been hollowed out from the inside. I knew this was the end of us, and honestly, it was the start of a new chapter, one where I would finally stop living in her shadow and start rebuilding myself. I sat down afterward, alone in the silence, thinking about everything. The pain, the betrayal, the loss. But also a strange sense of relief. I was finally free. I'd been used, manipulated, lied to, but I was still standing. And now I'd have to figure out what kind of man I wanted to be moving forward. The days that followed were a blur of emptiness and reflection. After she left, I felt like I'd lost a part of myself, like the house was too quiet, too sterile without her bitchy comments and sneers. I kept thinking about all the times I'd tried to fix things, to get her to see reason, but it was clear she didn't want that. She only wanted to keep her lies going, keep her affair hidden. The betrayal cut so deep I wondered if I'd ever trust anyone again. I spent hours going over everything in my head, trying to piece together where it all went wrong. It was a brutal realization that I'd been blind for so long, convincing myself that our life was okay when deep down, I knew she was cheating. I kept asking myself what I missed, what I could have done differently. But then I remembered her attitude, how she'd dismiss my feelings, call me insecure or controlling if I ever tried to set boundaries. That's when it hit me. I'd been a fool to believe I had any control over her. She'd always been manipulative, sneaky, and reckless. As the days went on, I started cleaning out her side of the closet, throwing away her clothes, her makeup, the little things she left behind. It was part catharsis, removing her from my space, from my life. It wasn't easy. I felt the anger bubbling up again, this time mixed with sadness. I thought about the good times, the bad times, all the promises we'd made. Those memories felt distant now, like they belonged to someone else. I also began to think about the future. I knew I needed to get my life back on track, rebuild what she'd broken. I reached out to a few friends, told them what happened, and surprisingly, they were supportive. They reminded me that I deserved better, that I didn't need her manipulative attitude dragging me down. I started going back to the gym, doing things I enjoyed, things I'd neglected because of her constant bitching. Slowly, I was trying to piece myself together, but the biggest shock came when I finally decided to check the security logs I had set up. I wanted to see if she'd tried to contact Jason after she left, maybe get closure or just confirm what I already knew. What I found haunted me. Her phone had connected to our network multiple times after she'd supposedly moved out, trying to contact Jason. The logs showed she was still sneaking around, still trying to hide her affair even after I'd kicked her out. That made me realize how far gone she was, how little respect she had for me or our marriage. It also made me angry again, angrier than ever that she would keep lying, keep playing her games. I started to think about how much she had lied from the beginning about everything. Her excuses about being busy, tired, or just working late were all bullshit. She'd been sneaking off for sex with Jason, probably at some dingy hotel or some other place she thought I'd never find out. The thought of her with him, sneaking around, betraying everything we'd built, made me sick. I felt betrayed and humiliated, but also a strange sense of relief that I'd finally uncovered the truth. Looking back, I realize now that I was just a pawn in her game. She used me, manipulated me, and when she got bored or found someone better, she tossed me aside like trash. I don't regret kicking her out. I actually feel relieved that I finally see her for what she truly was. I'm not going to lie, it hurts like hell, but I'm starting to accept that I deserve better. That's what I keep telling myself now. I deserve someone who respects me, who's honest, who doesn't lie and cheat. The hardest part is still ahead, moving on, trusting someone again, learning how to be happy after this betrayal. But I know I will, I have to. I can't let her betrayal define me. I've learned a lot from this experience, things I wish I never had to go through, but I also know I'll never be that naive again. I'm done being the fool who stayed silent and let her manipulate him. It's time to rebuild, to find someone who will actually be loyal, honest, and respectful. And honestly, I'm already starting to feel a little freer. Looking back now, I realize this whole nightmare changed me more than I thought possible. At first, I was just angry, furious at her, furious at myself for trusting her so blindly. But as the days turned into weeks, I started to see things differently. I saw how her deception wasn't just about a quick affair. It was about her total disregard for my feelings, our life together. She didn't care about the damage she caused. She only cared about her own selfish needs. The process of healing has been slow and painful. I've had to learn to trust again, not just others but myself as well. I won't lie, there are days when that old hurt resurfaces, when I catch myself wondering if I could have saved it, if I should have fought harder. But then I remind myself that I tried. I was patient, I was caring, and I was honest. She chose to betray that. That's on her, not me. What I've come to understand is that betrayal reveals who someone really is. Lisa showed her true colors: selfish, manipulative, unfaithful. But I also learned something about myself. I am stronger than I thought. I can pick myself up after being knocked down, can walk away from someone who doesn't value me. I don't need a woman who lies, cheats, and dismisses my feelings. I deserve a partner who respects me, who's honest, and who values what we build together. Now I focus on myself. I reconnect with friends, pick up old hobbies, and try to rebuild my confidence. I know I'll be okay. I've learned that true happiness isn't about staying in a relationship that's broken or based on lies. It's about finding the courage to walk away, no matter how painful it is, and knowing that better days are ahead. This experience has taught me a lot about trust, about boundaries, and about what I will and won't accept in a relationship. I guess I also want to tell anyone reading this, don't ignore the signs. Don't brush off your gut feelings. If something feels off, it probably is. And when you catch someone lying, don't make excuses for them. Face it, confront it, and do what's best for you. In the end, I'm grateful for the clarity. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's messy. But I've come out the other side with a better sense of who I am and what I want from life. I won't let this betrayal define me. I'll use it to become a stronger, wiser version of myself. And someday I'll find someone who truly values me, who's honest and loyal, and who makes me feel like I deserve to be loved. That's the future I'm working toward now, and honestly, it feels pretty good to finally believe in it.